and throw while moving ahead, back, and sideways, and then from lying and other positions. The general disadvantage of striking the opponent by throwing your weapon is that you no longer have it. Therefore, in combat with several opponents, you should refrain from such methods. Nevertheless, to master the skill of knife throwing is another step towards realizing your potential, and it can be a significant asset in a real confrontation. Here is the first technique of knife fighting. When the knife comes at your stomach, you cut and apply pressure to the back of the opponent's hand. Pain makes him bring the arm away, and pressure on the tendons loosens the grip. Then you twist the knife around his wrist and with a whip-like push cut the inside of his wrist. In case of the more complete movement, your knife here brushes along his fingers while further speeding up the disarming. Now you can see how to get to the fingers right away. If you are tired or wounded, you can do the same circular movement of the knife, but using your body only, and then during the returning movement of your arm, try to slash across the opponent's throat. Your knife and your body here move together. When you are cutting along the opponent's body, keep your body in motion to give more power to your hand and at the same time to avoid possible strikes. You can also use this whip-like motion of your wrist to hit the knife out of the hand and at another attacker. Here, as you can see, your knife grip is different. Your starting movement is flexing the wrist in order to cut your opponent's wrist and to bring it towards you. This way, he cannot pull his arm back. With a continuous movement, bring your knife to his throat or stab him. A very important component in this work is to grab his forearm with your left hand to assist yourself and to maximize control. When you place your knife into the opponent's elbow, you bring him down and make the cut at the same time. Then you raise his chin and cut the throat. If the legs are apart, you strike his groin and then push to your right in order to turn him over to his stomach and to prevent him from other actions. The reason for having so many finishing moves is that if you are confronted with another professional, he may often not allow you to do the full extent of the damage with your strikes. Thus, it is good to practice a wide variety of finishing moves. Then, in the real situations, you will be a lot more mobile and efficient. When a quick and strong knife stab is coming at you, you can position your knife so that it is hidden behind your forearm, and you stick the blade out when the attacker's wrist is passing by so that he will cut himself. Your left hand grabs his elbow and moves it forward. In the meantime, you turn the knife and stab him in the stomach. When you do that, it is better to hold the knife parallel to the floor. When the opponent sees the strike, he may go down as a defensive action, and then this knife grip will make it easier for you to stab between his ribs. During your returning movement, hit his fingers to make him drop the knife, and then you can finish off your work in many ways. It is very important to understand that even when you do some very serious strikes to your attacker's body or throat, if the knife is still in his hand, instinctively or with his last movement, the person can still use it against you. A fighter who is strong in spirit works to the very end. That is why you must always disarm the opponent. have a situation when a side strike is coming at your neck and the knife is in your left hand. Meet your opponent's wrist and with a flick of your wrist, divert his knife and try to cut at the same time. Then rotate your knife as you return your arm. The knife hits the inside of his elbow and with a sharp pull, take his body down. Then take away his knife. You may also strike with your legs. In this variation, you see how to use your right hand to assist with the movement. Apply pressure with your knife into the bend of the opponent's elbow. Once his elbow is bent, put your right forearm under his wrist and bring his knife to his throat. Now you can clearly see how to rotate your knife along his forearm from the wrist to the elbow. This technique is particularly effective if you have a double-edged knife. Once again, watch how to make the opponent cut himself. In order to strengthen your lever, lock your hands together. You can hit the knife out of his hand against your knee. Pain makes him tense in the neck, and then striking the neck is more damaging. You can then finish off with your knife. If the knife is in your right hand, you can do the same rotating of the knife from the opponent's wrist to the elbow and push his wrist with your forearm